Hi everyone, James Stokes from Edge of Play here with another part of the Building the Session series that we're looking at with Edge of Play. I was very lucky to have a coach called Gary Peniston from Bellevue, Iowa, get in touch with us, so big shout out to Bellevue. And he wanted us to put together a session on when to basically press. So the transition from attacking to defending, when and how to press the opposition, because they're getting hit quite a lot on counter-attack because they're in a big expansive shape. So he just wanted a few practices that he could put together which gets the players thinking about, are they retaining a good defensive balance when they're building the play up, and when, because as a player sometimes it's quite a difficult trigger to know if you should go in and press, whether your team's set up to press. So we're going to look at a couple of practices around that area. So this is the first one I've come up with. This is using Tactics Manager. So we've got a squad of 16 players. We've got a pitch split into thirds here. So we've got 7 blues plus a goalkeeper and the possession team, and 8 whites that are split into 4 at the back, 2 in midfield and 2 up front. The main flow of the practice is going to be that the blues going to start in possession. They're going to try and build up play through the first 2 thirds, get it to this central midfield 3 here, who will look to have a shot on target and one of these 3 target goals at the top. Now that's not the main focus of the session, but that's how it's going to build up. What we want to be looking at is when the blues lose possession in the first third, in the second third, or when it's intercepted in this final third, what are their first initial decisions? What are their triggers? How do they look like as a team? What the shape is? Gary's team play in a 4-2-3-1, so we've set the possession practice up in that. So we have the initial goalkeeper and 2 centre backs there. We've put the full-backs outside of the pitch to start with. We try and move it up to the midfielders. The midfielders are then tasked with trying to get a shot into one of the 3 goals. Now the 3 goals also replicate the players in the 4-2-3-1. So we have the striker there and the 2 wide attackers there. The idea is that we're building up, we're trying to get it through to our attacking unit. If that ball's won in the first third by these 2 strikers, they can obviously go for goal straight away. If the ball's won in the second third by the midfield unit, then they can drive straight for goal, or they can pass into the forward players. If the ball is intercepted by this back 4, then they can play, it turns into open play. So they can try and go for the main goal down here. That's the idea. The reason I'm using this visual is because this for me is what my main focus point on the session is. So the pass is intercepted by the defender, he's nice and sharp. How then do the team look at reacting to that? So we want obviously the midfielders to come and screen passes into the front 2, or put pressure onto that midfield player, cut out the passing lines. We want the centre backs to come back into a nice defensive shape, and we want the full backs to tuck in, really giving us that compact defensive unit, defensive and midfield unit. Now the players aren't restricted to these areas, so if we're building up play through the defender and he passes into the midfielder here, he might go on a nice overload over here, which might open him up for a shot on goal there. However, one of the main focuses Gary's saying is when his team attack and they recognise opportunities, and the fullbacks push or the centre-backs push, they're nice and brave, they're nice and confident. Do they retain defensive balance? So maybe if this centre-back pushes up here, can one of the other midfielders drop in to give us a nice defensive balance there? So we're going to be looking at that as well. This is the visual I'm going to be using, and I'll show you how I'm going to set up the session plan and what kind of details I'm going to put into it. So you can see that I've brought my picture into my session plan. So we'll start with the first block here, which is our title, or a narrow focus for the practice. So the main focus that we want is recovery to defend counter-attacks and retaining good defensive balance in the build-up. Just extend that slightly. Quite a long one, but I think that covers both of the really key points that we want to look at for this. So the second 2 blocks here, what are the 2 really key points that I'm trying to get from our players? I am looking for my team to recover quickly into a compact defensive shape. to prevent immediate counter-attack. And secondly, I'm looking for them, as we build up, to just have a think, if they can, about retaining a solid defensive foundation. So we all want to get forward and help with the possession, but whilst we're doing that, are we covered for any mistakes where we might lose possession and get hit quickly into the front two or the front three of the opposition team? A few details here on the practice in this session. So I'd be looking to use half a pitch. It gives the team in possession, building possession, a nice geographical awareness of what's in around them. So we're probably building possession, starting from our own penalty box. I'd give it 2 channels down the sides for the fullbacks to play in initially, and then we're building into the midfield unit, who are probably just inside their own half, and they're looking to hit the forward 3, the goals. You might place the goals just inside the second half if you have the space available to you. But yeah, a nice central area, quite wide, 2 channels down the side. We're Gary's team, high school team, so we're looking at age range for this of about 16 plus. Players 12 to 16, we can adapt. I'll show you how to do that afterwards. Looking to run this for about 30 minutes, and then the main primary unit of this will be these midfield 3 here. So add the game detail next. Play starts in the initial third, much like we talked about in the visual, and we look to build that up. If the play is lost at any point, then it's all about how this blue team react to defensive transition. Scoring system, obviously, if the Blues score in any of the 3 goals at the end, great goal. If the Whites win it back and can score in the main goal down here, then that's a point for them. The defensive 4, you might want to look to keep them really busy by working as a unit, shifting across, trying to cut out easy direct passes into the goals, the target goals at the back. We can switch them definitely with the midfield 2 and the attacking 2, so that we keep the defending team fresh. We've then got our progression related to focus. So one of the things Gary's really keen on is getting the decision making in his team about when they can go and press, understanding if they're in a good shape to go and press as soon as they've lost the ball. Because as a player, most of you who have been players or played football before, as a player, when you've made that mistake, you immediately want to go and get the ball back, but sometimes it's not the best time to go and do that. So we're going to add a progression here that the attacking unit can choose to go and press the ball in the final third. This is a great part for the psychological corner in decision making of we've lost possession, or the ball's been intercepted when we've tried to hit that killer pass. Now, is it a good time to go in there and try and win the ball immediately back, or do we have huge gaps within our units and do we actually want to recover and cut out those passing lines? Onto the section about how we would adapt the session. So players, if you've got less players that turn up, so you've not got 16, we might want to maybe remove one of the players from this back 4 and just have a back 3 unit. You might then reduce the number of goals, so there might be 2 target goals, making it easier for the back 3 to defend. You might want to remove one of these neutral players here and just have 1 inside, so we've actually got a 4v2 in this initial box. That still allows your players to go out and give you width with a central player there, and we can have a nice passing diamond. If you've got less space, maybe reduce the area of the zones, and that might lead you to have to reduce the number of players in there as well, to not make it get too congested, not to take away the realism too much of it. So you might then look at rotating players a little bit. To make the session harder, if they're doing great, if they're scoring goal after goal, let's match up the midfield, let's go 3v3 in there. Adapt to make it easier. We could make the neutrals on the outside, they can't be tackled, or the defending team, when they win the ball back, they must make 1 pass before going into the strikers. Or if the strikers win it back, they must make 1 pass before having a shot. It just gives the attacking team slightly longer to react, makes it a little bit easier for them. Challenges section. So I love my challenges as a coach, love the coaching interventions. One thing I want to get across in this practice, my primary challenge, how do we recover in defensive transition? That's my main one. If I get that across, I'm happy. I'm a happy coach. So we lose the possession of the football. I want to see a good reaction. I want to see recognition of where we're in a good, solid defensive shape. I want to see passing lines being cut out. So that links into a number of these secondary challenges here. So are we aware of threats on the breakdown? It's broken down. Are we aware that the ball into the striker is on immediately? If so, who can cut that out for me? So we've got there it might be an individual, that might be a unit thing. Can my central midfield three, who are my primary unit here, can they get compact and stop the ball going straight into the striker and us conceding a really quick attack? Quick transition. So when we build up, we're going to be a nice expansive shape. When it breaks down, can we get in into a nice compact defensive shape? I want the players to explore examples of when to press. So this links to that progression. It'd be lovely if they have loads of opportunity to make mistakes out there. Loads of opportunity where they lose it and they go and press and then they realise, I'm out of shape, bang, we've been hit, the opposition score. Learn next time. Have a quick look around. Are we scanning? Are we aware of what's around us? That's definitely an individual one. You know, recognise when to go, when to not. That could be a huge thing on communication. You might want it to come from the back four who can see everything. You might want that communication to come from them to say, go, 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 press. We're in a good shape. You can put pressure on the ball. Great, fine. Or they might say, get in, tuck in. You know, there's a threat here going into the front two. Final one is good rotation of the players. So as we discussed in that visual, you know, if my centre back pushes up, if my fullbacks are really high, can one of the other players recognise this? So could the deepest midfielder drop in to provide that good defensive balance? You'll see from the challenges that not one of those is based on us building possession well. Great if we do. Absolute bonus if we do. If you've got a team that can build up through the thirds every time and hit those front three, you're going to be onto a winning start. My challenges are all, and my enthusiasm as a coach is all going to be about what happens in that defensive transition. So I'm going to be upbeat from the side. I'm going to probably take a position in the central third that's looking across that central midfield three, and I can see the balance of the team. When that breaks down, that's when I come alive. That's when these challenges are going to really come alive. What kind of things am I then looking at for player development? So technical and tactical side, looking at screening of passing options when we break down possession, or when the opposition break down possession, good cover and support, and the defensive shape that they're using as they're building up possession. In terms of the physical side, the speed of recovery, that quick transition, got to be good. Rotation of positions as we're building up play. Psychological awareness of what's in and around me, again on defensive transition. Patience is a good one. So that links into the third one, which is, oops, just making a mistake there. That links into the third one, which is an intelligent reaction in decision making. So when we allow those players to make choices for themselves about when they press, that sometimes need to be patient. You know, the urge is going to be there to go in and put pressure on the player, but sometimes you're not in the right position to do that. So be patient, get a good defensive shape in, stop those balls into the strikers, intelligent reaction, good decision making. And they'll only do that by making mistakes. They'll only do that by having lots of repetition of understanding when it breaks down, have a look round, am I in a good shape to go and press or not? Links with teamwork. Those midfield three are going to have to work together, not only to stop the ball into the strikers, but also to win the ball up high. Get in, support that midfielder. If he makes a mistake, all three of them react well and they talk to each other, which is the communication part of it. And finally, my philosophy. So if this didn't link into my philosophy, why am I doing this? But it does, so it allows me to apply aggressive pressure to the ball at the right time. Love that. Identify danger areas in defensive transition and recover quickly into defensive shape. All of those things are part of my playing philosophy. So you can see here, defensive transition. I've got those points there. If they weren't there, I wouldn't be doing this. So that's the session plan. Gary, I will definitely be using this one myself. I was really excited when I came up with this idea. I think you can tell that by the amount of times I've put my fist together when I'm talking about pressing. Gonna love to do this when we're back out onto the pitch. Thanks everyone. We'll make this session plan available to you all as part of building up that catalogue of practice plans that we can all use for the new season. Take care. I'll see you again soon.